Hello, and welcome to the 4thDown podcast. We are back, and just in time for holiday season. We are your hosts for today. My name is Alex,
My name is Mickey.
and today we're going over a lot of topics, and mainly we're going to be focusing on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson with another bad performance. We'll get to that in a sec. But also on today's topics, we have Jalen Hurts' injury and how that injury could affect the Eagles when they take on against the Dallas Cowboys in a big NFC East matchup. And we also got a Week 16 pick'em, which we're going to pick 5 games, and we're going to pretty much pick those games and see who's going to win. And last but not least, we're going to pick 3 teams that we love seeing in the playoffs as the playoff race gets tight. So, for the first topic of the day, we're going to be talking about Zach Wilson, who last week against Detroit was back to start after Mike White was out with rib injuries. Was benched earlier in the season due to his comments on about he felt like he didn't let the defense down after only giving up 3 points or only getting 3 points against the Patriots. And so Zach Wilson against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a must-win scenario because that AFC playoff picture is getting, ridiculously tight. This is a game that the Jets feel like we're very winnable against Jacksonville, even though Jacksonville has been rising up. This was the big moment for Zach Wilson. This was his time to shine, and he didn't really live up to it. They lost 19-3, and as for Zach Wilson himself, he was 9 for 18, 92 yards, and an interception. And a lot of people are saying now this could be the end of Zach Wilson's career for New York Jets. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
So, I really think last week was his redemption period. And he did play well. He got over 300 yards, but he couldn't pull out the win. And there's other factors other than just Zach Wilson as to why they lost that game against Detroit, but all eyes are on him right now. And had he not performed so well then, I don't know if he would have had the opportunity to play against the Jags.
Yeah, and we mentioned too about that Detroit game. He played well. I know he didn't get the win, but if you're a New York Jet fan, you got to think to yourself, man, maybe he finally turned over a new leaf. Like he finally, young kid, is still on his rookie deal, trying to get a contract extension. Because in the NFL, people think like, oh, we make the NFL, you made it. No, it's that first contract extension after your rookie year, because that proves, hey, you're that guy. And Zach Wilson, he had a couple, bad throws here and there against Detroit, but overall played decently well. And you think to yourself, okay, Jacksonville, they're on the rise, and this is, a big game too because, hey, we're up against, Jacksonville in a must-win. If we beat Jacksonville, we're one step closer to postseason, and we're up against a guy who, for most of the time, they were comparing Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. That's just how the media works, and we're not comparing them really, but that is how the media works. And Zach Wilson, with his stats in last night's game, wasn't really a franchise-type deal. He went 9 for 18, 92 yards, and an interception. And against the Jacksonville defense, which, they're very underrated, but you saw Dak Prescott play well against them, too, last week. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say is, one, I apologize if you can hear the wind outside, cold weather, Christmas storm.
Yeah.
But secondly, so one of the issues with this game is that a lot does end up riding on the quarterback. And when you're in that position, whether or not you're good at it, whether or not you want to do it, you are a leader on the team. And if your personality doesn't mesh with your team, if it doesn't mesh with the people that you have to throw the ball to and you have to play with, you're going to have some issues. And I'm not saying that's what's going on with the Jets and with Zach Wilson, but it does seem from what we've heard that there is some animosity there. And so it's not always just who can throw the ball the best, who can play the best game, but you also have to fit within the system that you work.
Right, I 100% agree. And another thing, too, the injury to Breece Hall, the rookie running back, who was having a solid year, that did not help a lot because the Jets were 6-3. Breece Hall was a stud. I'm not saying, if Breece Hall is healthy, this would be whole change. It would help a little bit because Breece Hall is a stud, and I love watching the kid play. But, you saw the Jets were winning. That's a big thing. And there were still concerns with Zach Wilson's performance in those games, even they won. But if Breece Hall was still healthy, would the Jets have a couple more wins, and will we still be talking about Zach Wilson and potentially being the end to the New York Giants career? Now, another thing too, mentioning about quarterbacks, we talked about this earlier. If this Jets were to move on from Zach Wilson, who would take him? Like, this is actually like a serious question. I know a couple teams here and there, but maybe the Texans, if they don't trust Davis Mills. Davis Mills isn't really that bad. I don't know. Like, the Lions are already sold on Jared Goff. Jared Goff been playing his best ball this year.
Daniel Jones is pretty similar.
Yeah, could he go to their crosstown rival, the Giants?
I don't know.
Like, it's a big question that we'll have to wait till the offseason. But if Zach Wilson is still the starter after last night's game, then he have to prove it like big time. Because Mike White should be back. They have a long break now. So Mike White could be the starter again. But we'll see. I mean, that's the beauty about the NFL. Like, topics like this, you just have to wait and see how it folds. But Zach Wilson, after last night, in a must-win scenario, last 2 games were must-wins. He did good against Detroit.
He couldn't pull out the win.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see where the GM and the organization for the Jets go. I hope if he does get cut, I hope he finds success somewhere. I mean, and it's hard, especially for a young quarterback, trying to find their rhythm. But yeah, so, and I know a lot of people in the media out there are going to be on Zach Wilson today. But I mean, we'll just see where time goes, and I wish the kid best of luck. He has potential, but I just think his attitude. I mean, attitude did kind of change, improvement since he got benched, but we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, I don't know if you have any final comments on Zach Wilson. Or...
I do not. We can move on to our next topic.
Yeah, and our next topic too, from one young quarterback to another. The Jalen Hurts injury is an interesting topic to discuss. I believe it was a right shoulder injury he suffered against the Bears last week. Not going to play, which I think is a smart move because even if the Eagles do lose that game, they still have to win one more game to clinch the number 1 seed. As much I know they wanted to see the Eagles just demolish the Cowboys, it's very smart for them to bench or, not rush their franchise quarterback, Jalen Hurts, which I love the kid too. I love Jalen Hurts. I love watching him play. He's so dynamic. Great passer, strong arm, great runner too. But, we got Gardner Minshew coming up against the Cowboys, which Gardner Minshew ain't bad. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like the Eagles are in a make it or break it situation right now, and that does help them. Their schedule ahead, they play the Cowboys, and then they play the Saints, and then
they end the season against the
Giants. So, even if they can't win against the Cowboys, they should be able to win against the Saints or the Giants. And the good thing about the Eagles as well is Jalen Hurts is a stud, but he is not their entire team. There are some teams where without their quarterback they fall apart, and I feel like the Eagles have enough talented pieces around them that they should still be able to make good plays,
right,
and have a good performance.
Big help, that running back Miles Sanders. Yeah. And I think the Eagles too are looking precaution. Like, we have a very talented team, and I think it's just in general, it's good to have a talented team, especially when your star quarterback is out for 1 week. I mean, look at the Cowboys earlier this season. They lost Dak Prescott for a couple weeks, and Cooper Rush came in and they won 4 straight before, or something like that. Yeah, they won 4 straight before losing to the Eagles in week 6. So it helps to have a talented team because it helps Gardner Minshew, and it puts a lot more ease on Jalen Hurts too, because they're not. I don't know, the doctors gonna be smart, they're not gonna rush him back. And if the Eagles clinch number 1 seed, if that shoulder still hurts, if they do somehow win Saturday, then they could potentially rush Jalen Hurts for the rest of the regular season, which it's like for an injury like that, you have to see take 1 week at a time. But I don't think the Eagles would like. He might not play next week if it is just like he might only be out this week. But if there was time, I think he'll play week 18 if they do clinch number one seeds this Saturday. But I think Gardner Minshew with Miles Sanders, AJ Brown. I think Dallas.
Their defense.
Oh yeah, their defense is ridiculous, especially the run game. Dallas Goddard. I think they'll be okay, and I think you're gonna see the Eagles host the NFC playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would be surprised if this sets them back.
I mean, it's gonna be a tough game, and we'll get to that game in a second. But yeah, I think with Jalen Hurts' injury, I think it's the right call to bench him because even if they lose, they're playing the Saints and the Giants. Those are easy wins to Philly, even without Jalen Hurts. With Jalen Hurts, it'd just be a massacre, but without, it'd still be an easy win.
Okay.
So I think.
Speaking of that, we can move into our next topic.
But yeah, so that's just my final remarks on this whole Jalen Hurts injury. Wishing him the best. Can't wait to see him back on the field soon. But yes, Week 16 pick'em. So we're not gonna do all the games. We picked 5 games that I think will be crucial in the for this week to pick.
We can start with the Philly-Dallas game.
Yeah,
since we were just discussing that.
Yeah, Eagles Cowboys. I think that's gonna be a lot closer than what people think. I think Gardner Minshew, he was a starter in Jacksonville for a couple seasons. I'm gonna give the edge to Dallas though. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than what people think, but I think without Jalen Hurts, that takes away so much. It takes away especially like the mobility and the options. See, that's the one thing too. That takes away the option game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick Sirianni is gonna have to, get played for Gardner Minshew. He's like, you're not gonna run options with Gardner Minshew.
No, and that makes it easier for the Cowboys defense to predict what they're going to do.
Because we saw a lot of games with the Eagles. Like they just have the option play and they have weapons too. But I think with that big portion of their offensive game plan being taken away, I think Dallas is gonna have a much easier time. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a high scoring game still, 30-28 Dallas.
Yeah, I think Dallas will take the edge, but I think it's going to be closer than what people think.
But yeah, so we're both going on the Cowboys for this one.
Yes, but I still think the Eagles are going to win the division.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. But for this game, Dallas wins. We'll go with another interesting game. Seattle, Kansas City. I've been saying about this game, saying I don't think Seattle will survive in Kansas City, but the more we get closer and closer, especially with, it's gonna be a factor. Weather's gonna be a huge factor over the weekend. Kansas City is one of those cities that's gonna get hit with the cold vortex, polar vortex. So cold wind. It's gonna rely on the ground game. I think Seattle's ground game is a little bit better than Kansas City's. But I still think the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes, they're going to win big. I think Chiefs will win this game. But it'll be closer to what people think. I think Seattle, this is a must-win game for them to keep their playoffs up alive. So they're going to play with a lot of heart and passion. But you're going to Arrowhead, don't care how warm, how cold conditions. When you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on the other side, with that loud crowd on their side too, I think they're going to go crazy. But I think Kansas City, and their defense is great too. With Chris Jones and Frank Clark. But yeah, I think Kansas City will win that game.
I agree with you. I think Kansas City will win that game, but I think it's going to be tighter than what people were thinking. And I think the home field advantage, it cannot be understated. Because there are some stadiums, there are some fans and crowds where the home field advantage doesn't make as much difference. But for Kansas City, that is a significant aid to them being in their home stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think the Seahawks will bring a lot of fight because they are fighting for a playoff spot. So this is a huge game, an important game. I think it'll be a lot closer. I think it might even come down to a last-second field goal because let's not forget Seattle won some pretty good games too against some decent, good opponents. So
And let's not forget, Kansas City has made some sloppy mistakes.
yeah, they went to overtime with the Texans. They lost to the Colts. So like it's any given Sunday. Um,
But yeah, that's what I say. I think the home field advantage is going to help them out.
yeah. So we're both agreeing on Kansas City.
Yeah.
We're both agreeing so far. Um, let's go to Cincinnati, New England. Another interesting matchup. I think a game that New England's needs to win badly. The Red Hot Bengals, they won I believe 6 straight. Came back down 17-0 against the Bucks. I think Cincinnati, in my opinion, is the front runner to win the AFC title again. It's not just recency bias. I just think that Bengals team is talented, and I don't feel like they're playing sloppy football, but I don't think they're playing like that sloppy football. Like they're still playing really good football. They have weapons: Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. That receiving core is dangerous too with Higgins and Boyd. But
They are talented, but they are not consistent. And that is the issue here. Because the. Yeah, that is the issue there. I do think they're going to win their division because the Ravens have such injuries that they're dealing with right now. And I would like to see the Bengals make it far. But this game, I think, is going to be closer than a lot of people think. And the Bengals need to play a full game of football.
I don't think it's gonna be that close. It's gonna be an interesting game, but New England having an offensive struggle right now. Matt Patricia, Mac Jones frustrating with Matt Patricia, and I mean, New England's a hot mess right now. I think Cincinnati blows them out of the water.
See, they should. They should blow them out of the water, but I don't know because I think the Bengals will win, but I think we're going to see a lot of sloppy mistakes.
Okay, so both Bengals.
Yeah.
Ooh, looked like you were thinking about New England for a sec. No,
I think New England has I don't think New England has what they need to make it into the playoffs with
Okay.
their crew currently. The Bengals do, but I think if New England can win this game, it's going to prove some things, but I don't think they can pull it out.
But yeah, and I do have a Christmas game scheduled. I picked the best one out of it because listen, Broncos Rams. Listen yeah, Broncos Rams Bucks Cardinals. The best game on Christmas is gonna be Packers Dolphins. Mainly because this is my opinion, and I am a Packers fan. Everyone knows that on the 4thDown podcast. But this is also a big game for the playoffs. Green Bay, and I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, Green Bay have a chance. They do have a chance because I think Washington Commanders might lose to the Niners, but we're not talking about that game. But Green Bay's running a 2-game win streak, and the Dolphins team is good, and it's really good, especially receiver end. I still think they're still playing sloppy. Like Tua can be that guy, and I love Tua. I love Tua Tagovailoa, but he can be that guy. But he has his games where he's on it, and there's some games where he just sloppy. But the Packers Dolphins game, it's gonna come down to those speedy wide receivers against Joe Barry's defense. If Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waller are just all over them, it's game over. I think Dolphins win by a margin. But Aaron Rodgers and rookie receivers are connecting really good. Aaron Jones in the backfield with AJ Dillon. I'm gonna go with the upset. I think Green Bay has a good opportunity to beat Miami. It is in Miami, so they're not coming to Lambeau Field with that cold weather.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I think it's going to be close, But I don't think the Packers can pull it out.
But if the Dolphins run wild, and they do have Raheem Mostert and Mike McDaniel, flashback to 2019 NFC Championship game. But if the Dolphins run wild with the wide receiver position, I think the Dolphins win by a blowout. That's if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are just constantly running past them. But I think Green Bay, with,
The problem is Green Bay's defense is not fast enough to stop them.
no. But we'll see how it goes. I think Green Bay might win on a last second field goal in overtime.
I mean, that's possible. I think this will be closer than people are saying. I don't think Green Bay's completely out of the conversation. But they're going into Miami. I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. But if Green Bay somehow wins this game against Miami Dolphins, watch out, because they're on a run. Yeah, so we're split, Green Bay, Miami.
Yeah.
All right, in the last game, the Monday Night Football game between the Chargers and Colts. This game is gonna be bonkers. You're up against a Charger team, which I personally don't think the Chargers are that consistent of a team. And you got the Colts, who benched Matt Ryan. But it's the Colts. Colts have a 33-point lead. They blow up. Colts beat the Chiefs. What are the Colts nowadays? But I think the Chargers still gonna win this game because I don't think Justin Herbert's gonna. I think Justin Herbert's gonna run wild, especially with Mike Williams back. So, yeah.
I don't even want to talk about either of these teams.
Okay, so we can just do picking.
Just to disagree with you, I'm going to go with the Colts. But I could see this going either way because these teams have had such a weird season, both of them.
Both these teams were eligible for playoffs. Now, Chargers are in a playoff hunt, but the Chargers...
Their window is closing.
Yeah. All right. So, for recap, we both played the Chiefs, both played the Bengals, both played the Cowboys, split on the Packers Dolphins, and split on the Chargers Colts. And last but not least, our final topic of the 4th Down podcast on this beautiful day before Christmas Eve, the eve before Christmas Eve, is 3 teams I'd like to see in the playoffs. And we agreed on 2 teams, but we split on the 3rd team. So we both would like to see Detroit Lions make the playoffs. I think the Lions are a very fun team to watch. They weren't earlier in the season, but now they got that winning streak going, and they finally got the groove going. Jared Goff's playing really good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was snubbed from the Pro Bowl. And Jamal Williams, Jamal Williams, man. I love Jamal Williams. I love St. Brown, too. I love what the Lions are doing. And they pretty much they control their own destiny. They play the Panthers. They play the Packers. And the Bears. So they have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs if they win out.
Yeah, there's a couple things that could prevent the Lions from making it in there. But the Lions and the Packers are going to have to go. If they both win this week, it's going to be a tight competition.
Yeah, I think the Lions' only problem is, I don't know, just don't do the old Detroit. Don't lose to the Panthers. Don't lose to the Bears.
Don't lose to the easy teams and win against the hard teams.
Because I feel like, and I'm rooting for your Lions fans. I'm rooting for the Lions big time. And if the Lions do make the playoffs, that could be another whole different topic, but they'll probably play the Vikings round 1, which they could beat the Vikings.
Yeah, I could definitely see them beating the Vikings.
But this is today.
But I don't know. We have to see if they make it into the playoffs first.
But yeah, so I think the talent's there. The defense is very underrated too. We both like the Lions, and there's no reason why. They're a very fun team to cheer for.
They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, but even if you're not a Lions fan, you still want that underdog story. But yeah, so we're both picking the Lions.
I don't think they'll take it very far in the playoffs if they make it.
But it's a step in the right direction.
I think they could make it.
But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. That could be another talk about. We'll see what happens against the Panthers. If they lose, then that's bad. But we'll see.
Then we'll make a playoff bracket and be wrong.
Yes. We'll talk about the Dolphins next because that's both our teams we like. Like I said, I like Tua. I like the Miami Dolphins offense. I like what Mike McDaniel's been doing. But again, it comes down to just don't do Miami things. The Dolphins play They play the Packers. They end the season with the Jets. I totally forget who they play week 17. But I don't think it's gonna be that hard of an opponent. But they play
The Jets.
Packers, Patriots, and Jets. So that's it's not hard, but it's not easy. Like you look at his records. I mean, but yeah. And again, we apologize for the win, but we like the Dolphins. I like the Tyreek Hill trade. I think that both teams kind of won that deal with the Tyreek Hill trade, even though I think Miami gave a little bit too much. But Tyreek Hill kind of helped elevate our offense to the extreme and helped Tua a lot. Because Tua definitely improved in his previous seasons. But can they finally get over that hump and win at least 2 of the last 3 games to make the playoffs?
They are right there, and I think the way they perform against Green Bay and the way they perform against New England is going to be telling.
Yeah, because they win like a very low scoring game and on last second field goal, and there might be some head scratches, but we'll have to see. I think Mike McDaniel is a smart man. He's a great coach, and a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, Dolphins are on 3-game losing streak," but look who they played. They played the 49ers, they played the Buffalo Bills, and they played the Chargers, all on the road, by the way, and they finally get to end the season 2 of the last 3 games at home. So we'll see what happens. So yeah. And last but not least,
we could not agree on a third team, so.
Yeah, I mean, you want to start with your team?
So my third team I picked was the Giants. Now, the problem with the Giants is their schedule. They play the Vikings, they play the Colts, and they play the Eagles. So it's going to be tight.
That's a tough schedule.
It's a very tough schedule.
They just have to win one.
Yeah, they just have to win one. But I think the Giants are not a team that anyone expected to come out and perform as well as they have. And they are so close to making it in there. I would love to see them get in there, but they're going to have to earn it. And the question is, will they be able to?
Yeah, and I agree. And I mean, the Giants, last week they played the Commanders in a gutsy win. A very controversial ending, but we're not going to talk about that. It's going to come down to Daniel Jones. Like we talked about Zach Wilson. These are must-win games. If Daniel Jones, I heard they pretty much scratched his 5th-year option, so he might be a free agent. But these games could change that way. They could re-sign him.
Yeah, I don't think Daniel Jones is their guy. But when they find their guy, I think the Giants are going to hit a stride.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for my team, we're going from the cold New Jersey to the warm Florida, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to say real quick, last season, I wasn't a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. I didn't really see the hype with Trevor Lawrence, but with a good head coach, his rookie season was unfair. He had Urban Meyer as head coach, and a lot of people were just calling him a bust. But now with Doug Peterson and the way he helped change the culture at Jacksonville, they're a fun team to watch too. Whether it's Lawrence and the guys like Zay Jones and Marvin Jones, or the running backs with Travis Etienne, and they got all these free agents they picked up last season. And they are 2 games away from the playoffs. Jacksonville controls their own destiny. They have to win out. They play the Texans and the Titans in Jacksonville. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars odds of making the playoffs because Tennessee lost Ryan Tannehill to probably for the rest of the season with an ankle injury. So it's Malik Willis. And the Texans, they might play the Jags tough, but I really do think Jacksonville's a talented team. They're a better team than the last 2 teams. I think the Jaguars will make the playoffs. And I think they could make some noise. If they make the playoffs, they'll probably be the 7th seed, I believe. So they'll probably take on Kansas City, Cincinnati. Could be a tough first round, but I think now with Jacksonville hitting their stride, they could make some noise. All right. And I think that's all the topics we talked about. Any last second thoughts before we close?
I don't think so. I just think these are going to be some cold Christmas seat games, and it's going to be interesting to see how that changes the dynamics.
Yeah, this is a big week because now we get to see who's getting closer to playoffs and who's done. Like I said, those 5 games too. Those 5 games are gonna be crucial for the playoffs. Another game too, and that'll be a whole another story. But yeah, I think there's could be a couple upset alerts. So, and again, thank you for listening to the 4thDown podcast. We're your hosts for today, Alex and
Mickey?
please follow us on the 4thDown on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We will get Spotify one day. I know we keep saying that, but we'll get Spotify one day. I got rid of the logo, so yeah. So we appreciate all the love and support you guys have been showing us. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy, spend time with family, and if you are in this polar vortex for about 75% of the country, please stay warm and stay safe. Safe travels during the holiday season too. And we'll bring out a new podcast probably Monday morning or Monday sometime. So, again, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays with your loved ones. And we'll be talking again soon. Have a good one.
Yeah, see ya.